Most people walk through life completely unaware of the invisible force that controls everything they experience, their beliefs. These silent programs running in the background of your mind determine what you think is possible, what you allow yourself to pursue, and ultimately what results you create in your life. Right now, you're operating under a set of beliefs that were installed in you years ago, by your parents, your teachers, your early experiences, and unless you consciously upgrade them, you'll keep recreating the same patterns, the same struggles, the same limitations day after day. But here's the life-altering truth: change your beliefs, and you change your entire reality. This isn't motivational fluff, this is neuroscience. Your brain literally filters all incoming information through your belief system, meaning you don't see the world as it is, you see it as YOUR. The single most powerful mental shift you can make is this: moving from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. These aren't just nice words, they're fundamentally different operating systems for your brain. Scarcity thinking says, there's never enough. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough opportunities. It keeps you playing small, hoarding resources, seeing threats instead of possibilities. Abundance thinking knows the universe operates on limitless potential, that ideas multiply when shared, that opportunities expand when seized, that the more value you create for others, the more flows back to you. This shift changes how you interpret every event in your life. Where scarcity sees rejection, abundance sees redirection. Where scarcity sees competition, abundance sees collaboration. Where scarcity sees risk, abundance sees reward. Most people are completely unaware of how their scarcity programming runs their lives. It's why they stay in dead-end jobs they hate, because what if I can't find something better? It's why they tolerate toxic relationships, because what if I end up alone? It's why they procrastinate on their dreams, because what if I fail? This fear-based operating system was useful for survival in ancient times, but today it's the single biggest obstacle between you and the life you truly want. The moment you start operating from abundance is the moment everything changes. Suddenly, losing a job becomes space for a better opportunity. A failed business becomes an education you couldn't have bought. A rejection becomes protection from what wasn't right for you. The evidence for abundance is all around us if we choose to see it. Think about this: the most valuable resources in today's economy are ideas, information, and innovation. Unlike physical goods, these aren't depleted when shared, they multiply. When you teach someone something, you don't lose knowledge, you reinforce it. When you share an idea, it doesn't shrink, it grows. The internet has created infinite platforms to create and share value. There are literally billions of dollars circulating in the global economy every single day. Money is just energy waiting to flow to those who provide the most value. Yet, most people walk around acting like there's some shortage, like they have to fight over scraps, when there's an endless buffet of possibility available to those with the vision to see it. Making this mental shift requires more than just positive thinking. It demands conscious rewiring of your subconscious programming. Your brain has a negativity bias. It's wired to notice threats more than opportunities, because that's what kept our ancestors alive. But in the modern world, this biological tendency works against us, making us overlook possibilities while magnifying obstacles. The key is to install new mental filters, to train your brain to spot opportunities where others see obstacles, to recognize abundance where others perceive lack. This happens through daily practices like gratitude, which shifts your focus to what you have, generosity, which proves to your subconscious there's enough to share, and visualization which programs your mind to expect success. The abundance mindset isn't about ignoring reality. It's about recognizing that reality is far more flexible than we've been taught. Money isn't scarce, creative ideas for generating value are abundant. Time isn't scarce, focused energy creates disproportionate results. Love isn't scarce, the more you give, the more you receive. The limiting factor isn't external resources, it's internal resourcefulness. When you operate from this knowing, you stop waiting for permission to start that business, to ask for that raise, to pursue that dream. You understand that the universe rewards bold action because bold action creates value for others. You realize that playing small doesn't just cheat you. It cheats all the people you could have served with your gifts. This shift alters your relationship with failure completely. Scarcity fears failure because it sees life as a zero-sum game with limited chances. Abundance understands that failure is just data. It's the universe showing you what doesn't work so you can adjust and find what does. Every successful person has a string of failures behind them. The difference is they didn't interpret those failures as evidence of limitation, but as necessary steps in their education. When you embrace this, fear loses its power over you. You become willing to take smart risks, to put yourself out there, to keep going when others quit, because you know success isn't about getting it right the first time, it's about continuing to play the game until you win. Your beliefs about money offer the clearest example of this principle in action. Most people have deeply ingrained money scripts. Money is hard to get. Rich people are greedy. More money means more problems. These beliefs create self-sabotage at a subconscious level, causing you to unconsciously avoid opportunities, undercharge for your services, or make fear-based financial decisions. When you shift to an abundance mindset around money, you understand that money is simply a representation of value exchanged. The more value you create for others, the more flows back to you. You stop seeing wealth as a finite pie and start seeing it as an infinite game where everyone can win. This shift alone can transform your financial reality faster than any investment strategy or side hustle. Relationships transform under this mindset as well. Scarcity in relationships shows up as neediness, jealousy, and fear of loss, which ironically pushes people away. Abundance knows there are amazing people everywhere, that love expands when shared, and that the best way to attract great relationships is to become the kind of person great people want to be around. This mindset gives you the confidence to set boundaries, walk away from what doesn't serve you, and trust that what's meant for you won't pass you by. It turns relationships from sources of stress into sources of mutual growth. The most profound change happens in your sense of identity. Scarcity thinking keeps you identified with your past, your mistakes, your limitations, your childhood programming. Abundance thinking lets you reinvent yourself daily, to decide who you want to be and act from that place now. You stop asking, "Who am I?" and start asking, "Who do I choose to become?" This is the essence of personal transformation, not changing circumstances first, but changing yourself, concept first, and letting your actions flow from that new identity. When you do this consistently, the external world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your new inner reality. The beautiful paradox is that abundance thinking actually makes you more productive, not less. Where scarcity creates frantic energy and short-term thinking, abundance fosters strategic patience and long-term vision. You're willing to invest in yourself, to build skills that compound over time, to plant seeds that may take years to bear fruit, because you know the universe operates on cycles of growth and harvest. This patience combined with massive action is what creates extraordinary results that seem like luck to outsiders. The world will constantly try to pull you back into scarcity. The news, social media, even well-meaning friends and family who operate from limitation. That's why maintaining an abundance mindset is an active practice, not a passive state. It requires daily conditioning, consuming content that expands your thinking, spending time with people who challenge your limits, taking actions that prove to yourself abundance is real. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes, until one day you realize you're operating from a completely different reality than most people, one where opportunities jump out at you, where synchronicities happen regularly, where you expect good things and therefore notice and capitalize on them when they appear. This isn't about denying challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that within every challenge lies an opportunity to grow, to innovate, to discover strengths you didn't know you had. The abundance mindset gives you the resilience to weather storms because you know they're temporary, and the creativity to find advantages where others see only adversity. It's the ultimate competitive edge in business and in life, not because it magically removes obstacles, but because it gives you the perspective and energy to overcome them while others get stuck. Your future isn't predetermined by your past, your education, your current circumstances, or any other limiting factor you've been taught to believe in. It's created by the beliefs you choose to adopt today and the actions those beliefs inspire you to take. The most successful people in any field aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones who believed in possibilities when others saw limitations, who took action when others hesitated, who persisted when others quit. That advantage is available to you the moment you decide to install this new operating system in your mind. The doorway to your new future stands before you right now. Will you walk through? Most people go through life completely unaware of the invisible forces shaping their reality, their core beliefs. These deeply ingrained assumptions act like lenses through which we interpret every experience, opportunity, and challenge. The fascinating yet troubling truth is that we don't see the world as it objectively exists, we see it through the filter of our preconditioned beliefs. This explains why two people can face identical circumstances yet have radically different experiences. One sees possibilities where the other sees only obstacles. Our beliefs form the boundaries of what we consider possible, acting as self-fulfilling prophecies that either propel us forward or keep us trapped in cycles of limitation. The most successful individuals in any field aren't necessarily more talented or fortunate. They've simply installed belief systems that allow them to perceive and capitalize on opportunities others miss entirely. This explains the paradoxical phenomenon where some individuals seem to consistently get lucky while others with equal skills remain stuck. It's not magic, it's the selective perception created by their operating beliefs. The process of belief formation begins in childhood when our developing brains absorb information from authority figures without critical filters. A child repeatedly told, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "life is hard," internalizes these statements as fundamental truths about reality. These early imprints become the unconscious foundation for future decision-making, often persisting long after they've stopped serving us. Modern neuroscience reveals that beliefs physically rewire our brains. What we consistently think about literally changes neural pathways through neuroplasticity. This explains why changing deep-seated beliefs feels so difficult. We're not just altering thoughts, but restructuring physical brain architecture. However, this same neuroplasticity means we can deliberately reprogram limiting beliefs at any age. The first step is bringing unconscious beliefs into conscious awareness, noticing the automatic thoughts that arise in challenging situations. Do you instinctively think, "I can't afford this," or "How can I create the means?" Does a setback trigger, "This always happens to me," or "What's this trying to teach me?" These mental reflexes reveal your underlying belief programming. The transition from scarcity to abundance thinking represents perhaps the most profound mental shift a person can make. Scarcity mentality operates from a fundamental assumption of lack, that resources, opportunities, and good fortune exist in limited supply. This worldview creates constant anxiety about not having enough, whether it's money, time, love, or recognition. Scarcity thinking manifests in subtle but destructive ways, hoarding information instead of sharing it, fearing competition rather than seeking collaboration, seeing others' success as somehow diminishing your own possibilities. It breeds short-term decision-making, taking unsatisfying jobs just for a paycheck, staying in toxic relationships out of fear of being alone, or sacrificing long-term goals for immediate comfort. The scarcity mindset becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. By operating from fear of loss, we unconsciously repel the very opportunities that could alleviate our perceived lack. Our nervous system, constantly in threat detection mode, filters the world through a lens of limitation, causing us to overlook possibilities that don't align with our expectations of scarcity. Abundance thinking operates from an entirely different paradigm, one of expansion, possibility, and trust in life's inherent generosity. This doesn't mean naive optimism or denying real challenges, but rather recognizing that resources and opportunities are far more plentiful than our survival-focused brains assume. In practical terms, abundance thinkers approach problems differently. Where scarcity sees dead ends, abundance sees multiple pathways forward. They understand that in our idea-based economy, value isn't finite. Sharing knowledge doesn't deplete it, but multiplies its impact. This explains why abundant thinkers often achieve more while appearing less stressed. They're not wasting mental energy on fear-based calculations. Their focus on creating value rather than extracting it makes them magnets for opportunities. The abundance mindset recognizes that time isn't scarce when used intentionally, that focused hours produce exponentially greater results than scattered effort. It understands that love and respect aren't limited commodities, that giving them freely creates more to receive. This mental framework transforms how one interprets events. A job loss becomes space for something better, a failed project becomes invaluable experience, a rejection becomes redirection toward more aligned opportunities. The relationship between value creation and financial abundance represents one of the most misunderstood principles in modern life. Money fundamentally represents stored energy and value. it flows naturally to those who solve meaningful problems for others. Yet most people reverse this equation, focusing on extracting money rather than creating value first. The universe's compensation system operates on this immutable law. The more lives you positively impact, the more abundance flows back to you. This explains why some businesses thrive while others struggle, not necessarily because of superior products, but because of greater value delivery. The most financially successful people in any field are invariably those who focus obsessively on serving their clients, customers, or audience. The money follows as a natural byproduct. This principle applies across all wealth levels, from the street vendor who builds loyalty through exceptional service to the tech entrepreneur solving global problems. The critical shift involves moving from "how can I make money" to "how can I create value." When you make this mental transition, financial stress diminishes because you trust the process. You know that consistently delivering excellence will inevitably lead to financial rewards. This doesn't mean working for free or ignoring profitability, but rather understanding that profit is the applause you receive for playing the value creation game well. Failure undergoes a complete transformation when viewed through the lens of abundance. Conventional wisdom treats failure as something to avoid at all costs, the embarrassing opposite of success. Abundance thinking recognizes failure as the most potent growth accelerator available to us. Every significant achievement rests upon a foundation of previous attempts that didn't work. What we call failures are actually iterations in the success process. The most accomplished people in any field have invariably failed more times than their less successful peers even attempted. The difference lies in interpretation. Abundant thinkers extract wisdom from setbacks, where scarcity thinkers see confirmation of their limitations. This explains why some people become paralyzed after mistakes while others become more determined. It's not the event itself, but the meaning assigned to it. Modern psychology reveals that our brains learn and adapt far more from failures than from easy successes. If we have the courage to reflect without self-judgment, the abundance approach to failure involves 3 steps: objective analysis of what happened, extraction of key lessons, and immediate application of those lessons to the next attempt. This transforms failure from something to fear into something to leverage, the essential tuition paid on the path to mastery. Our identity, the story we tell ourselves about who we are, represents the most powerful predictor of our future outcomes. You don't rise to the level of your goals, but fall to the level of your self-concept. This explains why so many people set ambitious goals only to self-sabotage. Their conscious mind wants change while their subconscious identity clings to old definitions. Identity acts as the thermostat of achievement. It unconsciously regulates your performance to match your self-perception. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, no amount of surface-level positive thinking will override that core identity when real financial decisions arise. The abundance approach to identity involves conscious self-redefinition, deciding who you choose to become and acting from that new identity immediately. This isn't about false affirmation, but behavioral evidence. You prove your new identity to yourself through consistent action. For example, if you decide to become someone who values health, you don't wait to feel like a healthy person. You start making healthy choices, and through those choices, the new identity solidifies. The most successful people in any field have invariably crafted identities aligned with their aspirations. They don't just do successful things. They see themselves as the kind of person for whom success is natural. This identity shift creates an internal congruence that makes sustained achievement inevitable rather than exhausting. The practical application of these principles creates tangible transformation when applied consistently. Begin by observing your thought patterns. Notice when scarcity thinking arises and consciously reframe it. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't afford this," ask instead, "How could I create the means?" This simple shift opens creative problem solving rather than shutting it down. Regarding value creation, audit how you approach your work. Are you focused primarily on what you'll gain or on how you can serve? The more value-centric your approach, the more abundance flows naturally. With failure, start the lessons learned, journal. After any setback, document what you discovered and how you'll apply it next time. This transforms failures from personal indictments into growth stepping stones. For identity work, write out how your ideal self would think, speak, and act, then begin living from that place today, even in small ways. Each action taken from your new identity reinforces it at a subconscious level. These practices, applied consistently, rewire your brain for abundance, not through magical thinking, but through verifiable psychological and neurological principles. The cumulative effect over months and years creates life trajectories that appear remarkable to outsiders but feel completely natural to you, because you've become someone for whom abundance is simply how life works. The difference between those who live extraordinary lives and those who remain stuck in mediocrity isn't luck, circumstance, or even raw talent. It's the beliefs they choose to nurture every single day. The moment you shift from scarcity to abundance thinking, you don't just change your perspective, you change your entire reality. Doors you never noticed swing open. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach suddenly appear within your grasp. Challenges transform into stepping stones rather than roadblocks. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about rewiring your brain to recognize the truth. The world is far more abundant than you've been conditioned to believe. Money, success, love, and fulfillment aren't finite resources reserved for a lucky few. They're available to anyone willing to operate from a mindset of expansion rather than lack. The only real limitation is the one you impose upon yourself. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you truly believed more was possible? If you stopped waiting for permission and started acting from certainty? If you saw every setback as a setup for a comeback? That version of you already exists. It's just waiting for you to claim it. The choice is yours. You can continue seeing the world through the lens of scarcity, staying small, playing safe, and wondering why nothing changes. Or you can step into abundance, where every challenge is an opportunity, every failure is feedback, and every day is a chance to create a future beyond your wildest expectations. The shift starts now, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect. Now, because the moment you decide to think differently, your future rewrites itself.